live. What a bunch of cacophony that was. My goodness. So, yeah. Let me see. We've got all of 3 viewers so far. I've brought my friend Carl King to the virtual studio this evening. So, there we are. There's Mr. Carl King in his studio.
Where?
Up in the
I don't see it.
The Los Angeles area. The imaginary city.
I don't see myself on the Twitch stream.
It might be taking a second. I don't know.
Whoa.
Is there a delay? I bet there's a significant delay.
I'm on there now, but I am stretched.
You're stretched.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
I'm squashed. So I look very wide.
Well, that is bizarre.
The aspect ratio is not right.
Well, I don't know how to set that in here. Not on the fly, at least.
Can you just grab that box and just...
How about if I stretch you out like that? No? Not going to work?
Well, I don't. I think everything's delayed, so I have no idea what's going on.
We have no idea what's going on. I don't know. We might have to deal with
wait,
that.
you just made me bigger.
I just made you bigger, yeah.
Oh.
That's how this is supposed to work, actually. So, here we go. We are just here to talk about, really, I mean, generally the theme of what I've been doing here is trying to explore the different aspects of being an artist, or the King's sounds distorted. Uh-oh. All right, let me see.
I may have been talking really loud into the mic, so I dropped it down a little bit.
All right. How's that? We'll okay, very good.
I think we'll find out.
We will find out. People will let us know as we go, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, in general, what I've been trying to do is just explore, the different life experiences of different artistic type people. We've done a stand-up comedian. We've done a jazz drummer. We've had a kind of a progressive drummer on the program here, and now Carl here is very adept songwriter, or just a composer in general, an outstanding musician, and now he's also getting into the areas of film production and animation and just show writing and all that, and that's there's a lot to explore there.
There's a lot to explore there.
There is a lot to explore there. What was the first thing that you can think of that was like that inspired a creative spark?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was very little, I wanted to be George Lucas, and I wanted to start the George Lucas fan club. Well, and I'm sure there was already a George Lucas fan club.
There probably was.
I considered myself the president of it when I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then I decided I was going to make a movie, and I was going to make it using the window out of the back of the house. I figured if someone was on the other side of the window, they were in my movie.
Yeah.
And it was going to be called The Mysterious Octopus. And so I wrote to my grandfather and said, I just need a microphone, and then I can make my movie, The Mysterious Octopus.
Just so that one thing. Yeah.
He mailed me a microphone.
Nice. What kind of microphone was it? Can you?
It was a little Radio Shack thing about this big, like tiny little,
like an 1/8" plug or something.
Yeah.
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 Amazing. I still have a fair amount of the early microphones that I got, but nothing from when I was like a kid. So I remember seeing animations or at least drawings for the octopus.
Yeah, years later, I decided, I think in 2008, I wanted to get into doing animation. So I came up with this concept for a show called The Mysterious Octopus. Nice. And I hired Lance Myers to start working on character designs. And around that time, I partnered with a very old friend from near elementary school age, and brought him on as a sort of co-creator, co-writer. And we wrote a bunch of episodes and created a bunch of the characters, came up with the concept, and then we kind of split up. And then I've rewritten it, I think maybe a couple of times since then. And then I put that whole animation thing on hold because I thought, man, this is just way too expensive. Because we never did get to make any actual scenes or animation for The Mysterious Octopus.
Yeah.
It was just concept art and things like that. And I thought, well, I'm going to go around and start setting up meetings, around Hollywood.
Yeah.
Start networking. And did some networking, but never did any meetings. And then just kind of like gave up on the animation thing for a while. Although I was still doing some of my own, I started getting into doing some small time animation myself.
Yeah. Like, so what was the next step in I I mean, how many years did it go before you really started to try and dive back into that? That was...
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I got pretty serious about screenwriting at that time. I decided like that's going to be my thing. I'm going to focus on learning. And man, what year was that? 2008. And then in 2010, I had that book come out on MWP called "So You're a Creative Genius Now What?"
Yes.
And I was very much focused on learning screenwriting and animation writing at that time. I
loved that book.
That was
very, very inspiring for me, and I refer to it very frequently about the allegory with, or the it's not really an allegory, but the comparison to a spaceship cockpit being your artistic space. I mean, that's...
Well, you've got a spaceship over there, for sure.
Very much, and that was part of the inspiration was that book saying, that is actually important. It's not just being silly and liking things to look cool. It's part of putting together your creative space and really being in a place of comfort and excitement.
It can really help to have an environment around you immediately where you're trying to work that is inspiring and reinforces your creativity rather than uninspiring you.
Yes.
Being an obstacle. I remember early on when I was recording the De-Evolution of Yasmin Bleeth Sir Millard Mulch CD, and my studio
yes,
was on the back porch of my mom's house next to the cat litter box.
Oh boy.
And I just felt, man, one of these days I'm going to have an actual space that doesn't have a cat litter box in it.
Yeah, that would be optimal. It is important to not be sharing, the creative space with some other thing, like some other storage or utility or something that, like I take great lengths to keep my work environment completely separate from the artistic environment. Because
yes, I've noticed that about you.
Yeah.
And I do my best to do that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, your place is super inspiring when you go in.
It's
like that room is amazing in there.
It just needs better air conditioning at this point.
Yeah.
It gets awfully hot in here, but
Fear of the Light works next to a cat litter box right now.
Oh yes. Oh, you're on your side, aren't you? Let's see. Oh, there we go. I see it. And Higgins, welcome. Higgins had said your signal was still a little bit hot, but
that was a while back.
I've turned it down here too, though. So
that message has been there for hours now.
Okay. Is everything how are levels, everybody out there? Is everything even now? Before we get into
still bad though.
Still bad.
That grape says still bad though.
Still bad. Okay, here.
I don't know what the badness is.
I don't know. It's hard to tell from this side. I mean, it sounds very clear where I'm at, but sometimes it's possible to. Okay, I just dropped the overall signal. Can we get a line check on you there, Carl? Give us some testing.
Yeah, I'm testing right now. I'm talking. Fear of the Light says fine, and Higgins says sounds good.
Okay.
So maybe we're there.
There we go.
Maybe we're there.
Sometimes this will take some adjusting as we go, Yeah, let's talk about some of your early music stuff. I mean, some of my viewers I don't think have any idea of what you've done in the past, and I'd like to show them some.
All right, you gonna play a video or something?
Sure. What would you like?
Play whatever you want.
I really dig the I dig the broccoli very much.
Okay.
Let's pop that on screen.
Although that's that was recorded about a year ago.
Yes,
video.
I know that's very recent, but
the video is recent. The music is very old, 25 years old.
Yes. Very good. Let's there we go. Hot damn. That is that's just a badass track.
So that was all real performed drums, although they were D-drums. Does anybody remember the brand name D-drums?
Are they still making acoustic drums, I think?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I think I know a friend of mine that has a D-drums kit, and but he's using just little D-drum triggers over the top. But man, yeah, who was drumming on that?
That was Pat McDonald, who went on to play for many years in the Charlie Daniels Band.
Oh, wow.
He was a guy from my hometown, Venice, Sarasota, Florida. Recorded that in late 97, late 96, something like that. 96, wow. Late 96.
Yeah, those are some wild parts in there. Really dig the whole thing, man. It's and that bass tone. I love the Rickenbacker.
I also have to say that is through the Geddy Lee signature Sans Amp Tech 21. Is Tech 21 the same thing as Sans Amp? Man, I'm confused
no
suddenly.
Idea.
Let's see. Tech 21.
We're going to find out. We
Tech
say that 21, a lot here.
Yes, they are.
Higgins says, when I hear this song, I hear it saying like left, right, like a march. My brain might be broken, though. I hear more of a flam rest. Left, nothing. You don't.
What are you quoting there? Because I think that's something that
that Fred Armisen.
John Schnepp said. Oh,
yeah, Fred Armisen and his Jens Hanneman complicated drumming.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's classic stupid drum geekery there.
So yeah, that is through the Geddy Lee. It's really a lot of that is the amp. It's the amp modeler. It's like a little pedal, like this big.
Nice.
Really cool sound. And I should also mention that I'm writing something that I'm calling deep liner notes right now for the CD that song appeared on.
Oh, very nice.
And it's a 25 year anniversary sort of PDF/book, and Higgins is helping me edit it. Higgins is in the middle of editing it right now.
Nice.
And it talks all about those times, the people involved, the recording, the struggles that I was dealing with living in Venice, Florida, and making music like that when I was being told by my teachers, well, you should just go play some country music because that's really the best thing for you.
Yeah.
So get ready for at least 50 pages long of a book about that album.
Well,
50 intellectually stimulating themes from a cheap amusement park for robots and aliens. Volume 1 is the full title.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Damn it.
I miss liner notes too. By the way, I just picked up, I think, the 36th anniversary release of Steve Vai's Flexible that just came out the other day.
Nice.
And first of all, I pre-ordered it years ago because I saw it just pop up on Amazon and there was no announcement. I'm like, ooh, it's letting me pre-order this Flexible thing that's coming out before anybody knows about it. And so I received it, and it was like a picture disc vinyl with no liner notes, no packaging, just a picture disc vinyl with the cover art. I thought, all right, so I ordered a second copy, which is the CD, which has tons of cool liner notes. So, yeah. Speaking of liner notes, what's this about? Shout out.
Oh, yes.
Shout out Fear for keeping the box clean. What does that mean?
Somebody's cleaning the litter box. Fear of the Light.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so shout out to Fear of the Light for cleaning the litter box.
All right.
I remembered
Good
what
work.
it was I wanted to mention was you've got a Patreon where you have a lot of kind of extra features that you've got up for people who can follow along and see what's going on. And
and there's also, you can just $5 or more per month, you get access to download WAV files, the high quality audio of as many albums as I can get up there. I only have a few up there at the moment. And also stems and alternate mixes.
Yes, we should have.
Because we like stems, right? Isn't that fun?
do.
Trey was putting out stems of some Secret Chief stuff a while back, but I never got. I did buy them, but I never got to do anything with them yet.
I did not buy them. I thought about it, but I felt like I'm not experienced enough to really do something with it. Although I should have just jumped in.
Well, it's just for fun to listen to. Also,
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything with them. Just open it up and be able to isolate the tracks. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is very fun. Very fun indeed. We should have. We didn't set up links for that stuff. Every time I do this, I hopefully learn a little bit more about making something smooth. You gave me a lot of really great links here for stuff to plop in here. We started talking about about animation and then got away from that. When did the Ellen Page video come out? That was
there's a little story behind that. There's a little story. You want me to tell a story?
Yeah, and let me make sure this isn't going to just start playing in the middle of your story. Well,
that's all right if it does anyway.
All right.
Does anybody remember Liquid Television?
I certainly remember that.
All right, Mike Stone remembers it.
I always enjoyed that.
Liquid Television was something that was on MTV in the early 90s, late 80s. And it was very experimental.
The following present.
Oh, hello. And they would put on all sorts of crazy animation and weird late night shows. Higgins says totally. Fear of the Light says hell yes. Okay, yeah. Liquid Television.
Dog
nice.
Boy.
Nice.
What else?
Yeah. It was really creepy, weird. Aeon Flux came out of there, and who else came out of there? What was the big one? I'm suddenly forgetting.
Yeah, me too. There was a lot of stuff on there that I enjoyed, though.
Can't think of it. Anyway.
No, well, wait a second. Where did didn't they start doing Beavis and Butthead at some point, or was that?
I don't think they did. It's possible.
Yeah.
Let's just look up.
It was a long time ago.
Liquid.
Yeah.
Liquid TV. Liquid Television. It was an animation showcase. Beavis and Butthead and Aeon Flux.
There you go.
And it was very fun, very wild. A lot of crazy cartoonists got their start there. And so there was sort of a relaunch at some point in maybe 2010, 2011. They were preparing to do some sort of a relaunch. And I can't remember how, but I put out that this Frank Zappa animation. And because of that, someone at Liquid Television got a hold of me, and they said, "We love this. Do you have anything else that you're working on? Is there, we're looking to create new shows. Do you have anything? Send us whatever you've got. Let us see what you got." Okay, yeah. Well, so I had to panic and put together something pretty quickly. And what I put together was that Nietzsche animation. I don't know if you want to play the Frank Zappa cartoon. It's pretty long.
If you want to do that first, we could. I mean, it's really cool.
It is a good story. It's a good watch.
Let's do that one first, because if it comes in the timeline before then, I think that makes sense.
So this Frank Zappa thing was the first thing I ever animated, and it also led to other things.
All right, let me get there.
He will get there eventually.
No thanks. Holy crap.
Dog Boy.
Yeah, Dog Boy.
Oh, that was by... It says Dog Boy was by Charles Burns. I had no idea, because he did this interesting graphic novel called Black Hole.
I'm not familiar with it.
No, you gotta check that out.
It's a strange one. Like it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go with the... There we go. Uh-oh. You're going to have to pause it for a second. What the hell? Get all the way back there, son.
It was stuttering here. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's stuttering here, too. Oh, you bastard. Bastard.
Is it because of Vimeo, or
it
because...
Might be. I don't know. Let me try getting out of Chrome and doing it. wherever this wants it to go. Let's see.
So that Zappa cartoon was the first animation I ever did. I did it over a weekend.
That was it. That was the whole thing.
That was it. Okay, bye.
Yeah. All right.
That was my first animation. Right. I figured out how to do Flash animation by doing that thing.
I have not figured that out.
And Steve Cox did the music for it because I wasn't doing much music at the time.
In fairness, I have not tried. It's doing it again. That might be... It could be. That seems like maybe an issue with Vimeo. What the hell?
Could be. Well, we can just skip this and just play the other thing. But go and look up it's also on YouTube. It's just a lower quality version on YouTube if you search for it.
All right. Well, let's try that real quick.
The most impressive thing to me was that this FZ animation, Muscat Grape is saying something here. The most impressive thing to me was that this FZ animation took about a week from not knowing how to animate to it being fully animated. Oh, there it goes.
There we go. Okay. We're going to do it. We're doing it on the YouTube. Here we go.
Okay.
Any ex-musician is an ex-musician for one of two reasons. One, he's not good enough to be in the band anymore. Or two, he had a career opportunity that led him to resign his post, for which there are probably 30 people waiting for his job. I have no problem getting people to volunteer to subject themselves to the discipline that's in the band. And if you knew anything about the band and the crew, there is a spirit of accomplishment that surrounds this touring unit that is really quite remarkable, second only to being in the Marines, because this band can go out there and do anything, and they know it, and they are thankful that they were rehearsed to the point where even under the most adverse circumstances, they can go out and do a 2-hour show that'll kick your ass, and the crew will have the thing up and down in record time, and everybody gets along, and they're happy to be doing it. And that's what the discipline is all about. A guy who leaves the band and complains about the discipline, he's maybe regretting the fact that he's not in the band anymore. And so how else is he going to get his name in the paper than to say that I'm a dictator? Well, the fact of the matter is I am the dictator. I'm the guy who signs the checks. I'm also the guy who has to take the responsibility for everything that goes wrong. And along with that, I have the responsibility for making sure that the band delivers a good performance to an audience that's bought a ticket. So it's not really being a dictator, it's being the referee between the audience and the band. The audience buys a ticket, I say, okay, band, you have to do this, and these people want it good, so give it to them good. And if they don't do it well, they either have to improve themselves or they go. The word in the band is, will that be an aisle or a window? Which means your ticket back to Los Angeles is right over here. And everybody knows that. And I've sent 2 guys home already from this tour. But see, the people that find that baffling would be people who have like a union mentality. You know, the union mentality means that too many people do too little work for too much money and then go on strike in order to get more days off. And there are a lot of people like this in the world who think that that's the way things ought to be. My attitude is this. I pay money to have a service performed for me on behalf of an audience that pays money to have a service performed for them. And I'm there to make sure that if somebody buys a ticket to my show, they're not going to be disappointed in it. They're going to see a band that knows what they're doing, that does it well, and delivers entertainment for the money that's spent. Same thing on a record. Whether you like the style of the music is irrelevant. The quality of what's put into the show is definitely there, and that quality is the result of a huge cash investment that I have to put out before the tour even starts. It costs $250,000 to make a band sound like that. That's talking about 2 months of rehearsal, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. Everybody's on salary, crew is on salary. I have the cost of all those salaries plus the rental of the hall that we rehearse in, the equipment and all that stuff. I pay for it before I get a nickel from anybody buying a ticket. There's not too many groups that will take that kind of a risk, and not too many groups that have one man in the group who takes that financial risk himself. And that's the way I do my business. So if there's something wrong with that, then let me know.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Gotta say. Hey, stop. All right.
So anyway, I did that thing
Yeah.
and put it up, and I guess Steve Vai got excited about it, and he sent it to Gail. And Steve was starting at that time Guitar TV and was looking for original content or shows or something like that, and wanted to play it on Guitar TV. So I think he talked to Gail about it, and Gail said, well, have him email me. So I emailed Gail to talk about it for whatever. I don't know what she wanted, but she said, so I emailed her like, hey, here's the video I made. And I remember I was told that Gail just had a problem with the music that was used in it because it wasn't Frank's. And so I was going to her under the expectation that, she just wants to talk about the music part of it. So I thought, well, maybe she wants me to use.
Well, what was it? Some of your music or something else?
Steve Cox wrote that music, and I told him specifically to emulate the girl in the magnesium dress, I think, from the Yellow Shark.
Okay.
Which he did. So I emailed Gail and said, hey, Gail, I'm Carl King. This is I'm glad you like the animation. This is really cool. And I would love to, if you'd like me to use some of Frank's music in it and make a change, I'd be happy to use the girl with the magnesium dress, which is what that music that we use was modeled after.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote back very angry. Hold your little horsies was what she started the email with.
Ooh.
And it was something along the lines of, I could let you use Frank's music, but I don't have to. And if I were to let you use it, it would cost you. And I was like, okay. So I think I emailed her again, and there was a couple of back and forths with her, and it was very confusing. Like, it was very disorienting, and it didn't make any sense what her responses were. And I was like, whoa, hold on. I thought that I was just emailing you to get the music permission to use the music that you wanted me to use. Frank's music. Like, I'm confused here. Why am I being yelled at? And she said, you have 24 hours to remove it from everywhere, or you're going to be hearing from my lawyers.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what? How did it get to here now? Why is this happening? So
that's stressful just hearing about it, man.
So I took it down from everywhere I could, but Dweezil posted it on his website. And so that was confusing. And so I wrote back to her like, hey, I'm sorry about whatever happened here. I don't know what's happening, but I took it down as you requested. And the only place I couldn't take it down from was Dweezil's own website. And your son has it on his website. So
oh boy,
I was just like, well, what's happening here? And she didn't write back. So I wrote back again, maybe like a week later, like, hey, well, you said that it would cost me to use the music. How much would it cost me? Because I can pay you. Like, what if I said, would $2,000 be okay if I were to pay you to use the music for it? No response. And never heard from her again. So that was pretty crazy.
That is bizarre.
And then Dweezil contacted me and said, hey, I really like your cartoon. I love your animation style. I'm putting out an album of my own, and I would like to hire you to do some animation for my stuff. So then we had some kind of a conference call with his record label guy in England, and we talked about a bunch of details. And then coincidentally, like a few days later, I had that total panic attack, nervous breakdown that set me off for like months, and I couldn't do anything. But it was like right at that time period. And it was at the same time period that Liquid Television was interested in that Nietzsche thing. Or they weren't interested in the Nietzsche thing. They liked the Frank Zappa cartoon and wanted to see other things. So I created a show concept called basically like Nietzsche Reacts. It was like a reaction video before there were reaction videos, I guess.
A bit of a trailblazing then.
And so the idea was, what if Nietzsche were brought back to life because his head was cryonically frozen back in the 1800s or something. and all he is shown when he is brought back to life in the future are just Ellen Page movies. And I don't know why, but that seemed like a thing to do.
All right. Well, here, let's jump into that one real
So
quick.
do we want to watch one of those?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
The following presentation is brought to you by Advanced Cryogenetics.
Diese Frau, Ellen Page, kann man weder als tiefgründig noch als oberflächlich ansehen. Sie ist sicher kein Philosoph. Sie ist lediglich eine Verschwendung der Lebensenergie. Juno ist nichts als Lächerlichkeit und schmerzhafte Peinlichkeit. Ellen Page wurde vom Gewürm zur Frau und immer noch steckt in ihr der Wurm. Ihr Werk ist nicht Kunst, sondern ein Untergang, fürchterlich und erdrückend. Was ich hier sehe, ist mir eine Last, ein kaum ertragbares Seelengewicht. Ihr Schaffen als Philosoph ist eine Widerlichkeit, die man überkommen muss. Alles ist das Gleiche. Nichts ist erstrebenswert. Die Worte sind sinnlos. Deren Gestalt ist erwürgend. Juno wird immer niveaulos bleiben. Aus dem gleichen Grund, aus dem Essen aus Großküchen bestenfalls medioker ist.
Who's the ending music there?
Steve Cox did all that. So I thought it was
great.
proper to bring back the cryonically frozen head of Nietzsche and have him. The only appendage he has is this metal kind of dildo that raises in the air when he's
Yeah,
upset.
that was a nice touch. Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Anyway, I think that would have been great for Liquid TV. So I don't know why they never chose to use it.
That
but-
might have been a little more lofty than what they were looking for. What they settled. I do remember, reading about that. They were saying that kind of led to things like the Spike and Mike Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first moved out here, that was kind of a big deal, and I would go, as often as I could. And I think that was the first place I saw Beavis and Butthead or No Neck Joe. Do you remember it? Did you see any of those? Just bizarre. There was one cartoon called Poetic Jaundice, and it was
Sounds familiar.
yeah. It was very, very demented stuff. At least it seemed.
Micah Ball says, I think you'd get the same review from Werner Herzog. Exactly. This angry German person. Yeah, thank you. Fear of the Light says, how do you all know each other? Why do these great interviews from multiple people I know go largely unnoticed? This is awesome stuff. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Well, I met Carl because of MySpace, and I was following him. That was, God, when was that? That was maybe like 2005 or 2004, 2005. I probably started
Right in there.
seeing your presence
right
on
in
there. And just some great, hilarious videos as this persona, this total shred bass player persona. that was just super fun stuff to follow. So I started following him on MySpace, and of course at the time I was really trying to become some sort of an artist in my own way and trying to do the Demizo thing. So I had a bit of a MySpace presence as every musician has, it seems like, and I would have my music playing on the page and kept the look all kind of gloomy and that sort of thing. And I was following his videos and making friends with his followers and meeting all sorts of interesting people over there. And I just I remember seeing what he was doing and thinking, okay, that guy is way further along as far as an artist or as accomplishments. And I just kind of viewed from afar and would try and interact here and there. And so that there was some following back and forth there. And then when Facebook happened, I found you on Facebook, and we connected there as well. So we just kind of started to develop a friendship from there. That's how I remember it. Hey, and there's Circle versus Square. That's Rainier. That's our friend Rainier.
Yeah.
All the way in Holland. Yeah, and Micah Ball. These are all okay, and Rainier and Carl and I all have a connection as well, because Carl did an outstanding promotional video for me, where I'm playing mostly. Well, no, it's pretty much entirely. I'm playing to Rainier's music in the video. And
that was a pretty good little mini doc about you. That was fun.
Yeah.
That came out good.
It's pretty long. It's like 12 minutes long. Yeah. I've played it on the stream a few times. Well, thank you.
Very good playing.
That was a very exciting little happening for me. I mean, the process itself was exciting and inspiring, because it made me just kind of try and rise to the occasion, even though I wasn't sure what I was going to do for the video, and it turned out very, very, very nice. That was a very inspirational and encouraging thing that you did for me there. So, yeah, that's how I remember us meeting. Basically, is through social media.
Yep.
Following. Did you give me any of your earlier?
But I mean, for me, I was attracting a lot of very questionable people at the time. Like back then, so I had to keep sort of a distance, because the really strange people would call my mom's house in the middle of the night, and it was just creepy, like weird stalkers.
Yeah. And
so I had to be this Sir Millard Mulch character on the internet, and then I really didn't want any of my personal life getting mixed in. And so I knew you were around, but I didn't know much about you, and I knew the name and as this Demizo character, and I was like, oh, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So
could have been some crackhead.
Right. I was walking through NAMM at what was it?
That's right.
What year was that? 2010 or something? 2009?
Probably. Yeah, it was right in there.
So I was walking through NAMM, and I was doing some video shooting, and suddenly, like, boom, there's Mike Stone. He's like, introduces himself, and I was like, oh, okay, you're all right. No problem. Like, okay, good.
Oh, that's
you're a good
the
guy. Yeah, it was like right away. It was instantly like, oh, this is an okay person. Great.
Yeah, nice.
Because I don't know. There was a weird level of having to keep your guard up at that time.
Yeah. Well, I try to be non-threatening in most situations.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know if I ever saw photos of you or anything, because most of your photos online were like very highly manipulated, filtered, strange, mysterious things.
As was the common thing to do at the beginning of the social media age. Everybody constantly. Well, we're still doing it constantly. I'm just doing it with actual lights instead of filters all the time.
Let's make sure we didn't miss some people. I saw some things. Higgins says that he likes that Mike is wearing Carl's merch.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I have a fair collection of Carl's merch over here, and this is this shirt is ironically fun to wear, because it always gets looks from people that are like, what do you mean? What the heck do you mean? I was just relating the other day. I used to have a Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum sticker on the back of my truck it just said "Sleep is wrong," and I was pulled into the bank to deposit a check or get money out or something, and somebody pulled up behind me and yelled, "Sleep is not wrong," and I just leaned out the window and went, "It's a metaphor," and the guy went, "I know," and that was the end of the interaction.
Gotta make that as a little short film someday.
Yeah.
That's funny. By the way, Rainier, I don't suspect that you are questionable. So.
Yeah, he's Rainier's another very interesting fellow.
Doesn't Rainier live in another country somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over in Holland. And he's
a foreigner.
Yeah, he's a foreigner and quite the artist himself, not just musically. He does a lot of really cool MIDI compositions, but he's also gotten into kind of animation and programming, and he makes some really, really cool stuff. he will be one to watch if you're not already watching. And Micah Ball Music, he is one to watch. He's an extremely prolific composer and musician, and just delightfully experimental and fun. He does some really fun video stuff too. Yeah, we've got some very cool people here. Yeah, I do miss Fear of the Light. I do miss MySpace, where you could, have somebody, if somebody went to your page, they would be hearing your soundtrack, whatever it was. But I'm sure some people probably don't miss what I was putting up there, because it would be very obnoxious. That was the downside of Facebook, was being subjected to whatever anybody wants. Let's see.
Micah, I'm glad that you're able to confirm that he is corporeal.
Yeah. Very nice.
Corporeality.
Now, I met one of Rainier's friends, or two of Rainier's friends. They actually came to a blues show that I was playing in Los Angeles with Ron Blair, and they came all the way from over there in Europe. It was very interesting. As always, you were too kind. No, I'm not. Carl's words about you being an instantly likable person ring very... Oh, man, that's awesome.
I'm the opposite of that, by the way, not to make this about me.
Well, the show kind of is about you, but, I understand what you mean. I would like... There's got to be... We've got to see some of the... somebody's got to see, like, some Millard Mulch.
Millard Mulch?
Some bass.
What are you talking about?
The Ibanez bass stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I shared any of those in the links, but it's up to you whether you want to do that.
Yeah, this is going way back. All right. Yeah, we're gonna do one real quick. Hey, stop now. Hold up. All right. Just so everybody, this is very much earlier how I first started seeing.
2005.
Yeah, 2005. All right. Let me get my face out of the way.
Greetings. I am Sir Millard Mulch, and in this lesson I'm going to teach you how to play a song called Hemisphere 3, Hermes, Movement 2, The Sacred Craft. The track is in the 13/16 time signature and features Virgil Donati and Lael Larson improvising over a bass ostinato in C Lydian. I will play the riff now, and then we will break it down note by note. Begin by practicing at a slow to medium tempo and gradually work your way up with a metronome. Once you master it, you'll be fucking Paris Hilton's brains out in the back of a 30-foot Hummer limo all over Beverly Hills.
Oh, man.
Micah asks, was this actually affiliated with Ibanez? No, it was not. It was a prank. And I was trying to get it affiliated with Ibanez. I sent stuff to them, and they did not reply. I had a good hookup, too, because I was friends with Steve Vai's manager at the time. So she gave me the contact info of the dude. And I don't know. Didn't work. Didn't work out.
Yeah,
a lot of things didn't work out.
Rainier is saying he recently tried to find the Tool video. I don't think that's anywhere anymore, is it?
I don't have it I mean, I have it on hard drive somewhere, but I don't have it anywhere publicly.
That was one of the things that was kind of daunting for me.
Daunting?
Daunting for me. I was I still am a huge Tool fan, and And I thought, when I saw that video, I was like, so for anybody who hasn't seen it, it was Tool Are Not Weird or Dark. And it was basically kind of a ranking down of Tool, and it was very funny. But here I was making music as Demizo, and just kind of mashing things together and making them into like sound structures. And I'm thinking, if this guy doesn't think Tool's any good, he's gonna definitely think my music is awful. So.
Well, that wasn't really about Tool anyway.
Yeah,
but that's another story.
Well, what is the story?
I don't want to get into that story. That's
all
past.
right, fine. That's very good. Fishalicious, welcome. Yeah,
Fishalicious.
Yeah, I'm very big Tool fan. Except I kind of lost interest after Anima. Like, I mean, the stuff past that is all very. It's very impressive, but it doesn't like grab me emotionally like the previous two albums. So
you are in a movie with Danny Carey.
Oh, that's right.
Or in the same movie as Danny Carey.
Yes. That's a good segue here. What a great segue.
Hello, Hugh.
Hey, wait, hold up now. If I can get it to do it right, instead of. Come on now. Hey, this happens sometimes. Excuse me. What? Hold on.
A Lateralis sweater, but all idols must be dethroned if we are to make progress. I just never knew much about Tool. Still don't.
Oh my God.
Although I've been to Danny Carey's studio. I can say that.
Really?
I've been to the Tool practice space, their studio.
That I cannot say.
I was there to deliver the Gig Pig that Danny bought off of Morgan from the movie. When the movie was over, Morgan got his Gig Pig.
Damn it. It's doing it again. There we go.
And so I took it over to Danny's studio, and Tool had just got done with the rehearsal. So they were all kind of hanging around, and I went in there and showed him the Gig Pig and handed it to him, and we took some photos of him with it. And then he showed me his synthesizers. Wow. And he has an unbelievable amount of vintage synthesizers in a room.
Oh, man.
That are to the ceiling. On every surface of the room are like old Moog, old vintage analog synthesizers, all patched together. And he said he's really into these synths and making stuff with them. And we talked about synthesizers a bit. And then he said that he was thinking of making a coffee table book about synthesizers, and that maybe I could make a documentary about him and his synthesizers, like some kind of mini documentary. And I was like, sure, just let me know if you want me to do that or whatever. And then that didn't happen.
Wow.
So a lot of things don't happen.
That's
that should be like a title of something.
That is a recurring theme in the art world, where people do have a tendency. I was just thinking about this last night. There's been so many instances where I've talked to somebody and said, "Yeah, we got this in common, we got that in common. I need this, you need that, and this seems like it'll work great." And then nothing ever happens.
I could make like an anti-discography of all the things that I didn't get to do because someone else didn't follow through or didn't want to do them.
Yeah.
I would have this pretty impressive thing going on.
And I've been guilty myself of being the one that didn't come through. So, but you know,
Micah Ball, if you have to go to dinner, enjoy your dinner.
Oh no.
Stu Spoon 1. I don't know what synths he had, but he had a room. Every wall was covered in them.
Yeah.
I guess I talked to, I think, the bassist a little bit about synths because he was trying to give me advice on what synth to buy. Anyway.
Well, Micah Ball, it's good to see you as always. Have a great dinner. I would be interested in seeing a coffee table book about synthesizers, even if it wasn't from Danny Carey. I like synthesizers an awful lot, especially like vintage ones. Just the sounds and the control surfaces are very very interesting and fun and kind of inspiring.
So that movie that you're in with
Yes.
Danny Carey, the same movie that Danny Carey is in.
Yes. Well, here we can.
Let's watch the trailer.
There we go.
Hello, Carl King here. Like many fans of complex metal music, I first discovered Morgan Ogren through his performance on Frederick Thorndahl's Special Defects album. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. His drumming was so complex and precise like Meshuggah, yet wild and free like a little kid banging on pots and pans. His own band in Sweden called Mats Morgan has given me years of hope that music can be challenging, beautiful, and even fun all at the same time. Not enough people know who he is, and I plan to change that. In May 2012, I assembled a crew to film Morgan during his week-long trip to LA. We followed him everywhere and interviewed his friends and pro musicians like Mike Keneally,
He's navigating all these amazing time changes in such an exhilarating way.
Nick DiVirgilio of Spock's Beard,
There was a time in the 70s and 60s where that kind of stuff was more accepted, and it's just not that way right now.
Mildrix Pulchers,
There's bands like Periphery and Animals as leaders. They're on the forefront of drumming, and it's the kind of thing that Morgan just really can't seem to catch up, keep with.
Danny Carey of Tool,
If he disappears, it's probably because I killed him, so I'm jealous. So.
drum virtuoso Thomas Lang,
Attention span is very short, and if they can't bop along to four on the floor, or understand some very primitive lyrics and chant along, then it doesn't do it for them. There's a subtlety and dynamic and complexity to this style of drumming and music that is not easily digested.
Anders Moridson, session guitarist for Taylor Swift and John Fogerty Band,
Complex music, if it's done for the right reasons and not just to be complex for the sake of being complex, it keeps growing on you and it keeps being more and more interesting and you keep hearing new layers.
Chuck Parker,
I don't think he thinks in notes and bars and phrases. It's all about attitude and vibe and just creating.
Dave Murray of the Stratosphere,
His playing is superhuman. I don't mean superhuman, it's human.
Dale Turner of Guitar World and Musicians Institute,
He's been playing, I think, since he was 4, and he's never stopped evolving.
avant-garde fusion guitarist Lee Warner,
I think a really healthy thing is when an artist comes along and their playing will either threaten or embrace a person's desire to expand their mind.
Mike Stone, president and CEO of Metronomicon Studios.
I'm beginning to think that the reverse osmosis water maybe isn't so great to be ingesting because that makes it more acidic. There's nothing to buffer the pH.
And Dave Ellich of Mars Volta.
It's not supposed to be clinical and precise and in a sterile laboratory somewhere. It's when you're standing in front of him playing and he's just like really going for it, it's just this like wall.
Showtime.
So far, this has all been self-funded, but now it's time for post-production and release, which means we need your help. Our goal is to raise $10,000 to finish the film. And where's that money gonna go?
I don't know.
An original movie poster painting, sound design by Stephen Cox, travel expenses and gear for shooting additional interviews, video editing, animation, compositing and color correction, authoring and replication of DVDs and Blu-ray, distribution through sites like Netflix and iTunes, and submission to film festivals so everyone can see it. All funds left over will buy a new pair of shorts for me and a mountain of Legos for Morgan's son Alvin. Please donate now to help us finish this special document.
I play just once.
It's very nice. That was me at 40 pounds heavier. Yeah, man.
Was that it? Are we back?
We are back. Yeah. That was so that did end up getting made.
It got made.
And yeah.
So you can buy it on I think Morgan Ogren Movie will take you to it.
Yeah. I think I bought it through Vimeo.
Yeah. It was on DVD and Blu-ray, and now those are all sold out. I think I have like 1 or 2 DVDs left.
Yeah.
And it's on Vimeo on demand. And then there was Conundrum Undone, which was another 3.5 hours, I think, of more scenes and footage.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to, at some point, I started working on upscaling the whole thing to 4K and remastering it to try to put it out again and get it on the Apple Music store, iTunes store, and all that stuff.
It should be
and
on there.
Amazon Prime. But I feel like it deserves to be out in those places because it was actually a pretty sweet little documentary about him.
Yeah, he's one of those drummers that just kind of just completely changed what I thought was even possible as a drummer. You know, like the first time I saw that Frederick Thorndahl, that medley clip, I was just so blown away by that. It looked impossible, but all at the same time, it's like, well, he's showing you, he's doing it right there. So there it is. That sounds impossible, but look at him doing it, you know? And it's not just that it's impressive that way. It's captivating musically. Like it's got texture and dynamics and it's far more. His drumming is far more creative than a lot of players, where it's people may be a lot more of a linear or much more of a grid kind of thing. His drumming breathes and flows and comes in waves, and it's a very very kind of, I hate to use all these generic terms, but it's a very kind of an organic feel. And he's not afraid to experiment as like they, you know, in the video you're seeing him, you know, tapping around on the drums with a microphone, and he continues to do that, you know, that sort of thing a ton, like playing around with how he uses microphones or what he's playing on and all sorts of different stuff. It's very, very cool.
I think that documentary was involved in causing Morgan to become the drummer for Devin Townsend.
It's possible. Well, yeah, because Devin's.
I mean, he was. So Morgan was. We actually filmed him recording a Devin Townsend song for Casualties of Cool at the studio during that time, and. But I think that when I started that Kickstarter and putting it out, I think Devin kind of found out about Morgan through Matthias from Toontrack. Because Toontrack was one of the big sponsors for the documentary, paid a bunch of money to have it made. And so I think that documentary helped Morgan get that, like, turn Devin on to him. I think, or at least the idea that the documentary was being made, like people were talking about Morgan more at that time.
Sure. And I think that was a big part of the goal of doing it for you, was just to make him more known and visible in you know, abroad.
I think he's still playing with Devin these days, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he did some shows last year with that big blue kit. Yeah.
Muscat Grape says, Mike Stone, didn't you supply some weird metal pipe for him to play?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I wanted to mention that. I've got these stainless steel pool filter tanks that are very noisy, and you can get some different sounds out of them. and they have a very industrial sound to them, but they also kind of sound similar to gongs. And so anyway, Carl borrowed a couple of those to take up to film with,
Drum Channel.
Yeah, to Drum Channel in Oxnard. And that in the documentary, you can see Dave Ellich and Morgan Agron both playing on my pool filter tanks, which are right here in my yard right now. I need to. They need a good polishing and a place where I can store them indoors. They take up a lot of room, but I've got a collection of like 8 various sizes of these filter tanks, and they all have very interesting sounds. So he got to play around with those there. I've given
there was another connection there, Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, and
yeah.
I was actually trying to, like, Morgan was asking me when he was coming to film at Bell Sound for this big jam day where he was going to have a bunch of people come and play with him. He was asking me who might want to come and play, and I was saying, "Oh, you've got to get Nils Frykdahl from Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum."
Would be amazing.
And I was saying, like, you've got to play with this guy. You've got to get into this band. Like, they're not join the band, but you have to get into this stuff. And I was like, we got to have him. And Morgan said, "Oh, that's not really my thing. Like, they're they seem very death metal heavy."
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you're not getting it. You're not getting it at all. But yeah, that didn't happen. So instead we got Tosin Abasi.
Tosin? From Animals as Leaders,
From Animals as Leaders, and this guy, Yannick Guidzala, the bassist, who was unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Came down and jammed for the day, and we recorded the whole thing.
Yeah. At a really cool little studio. Well, it's not that little. You know, I saw somebody else post on Instagram the other day of the same reverb unit that they have in the control room at Bell Sound. That weird one that looks like it's got jet throttles on it. It looks like almost like a Star Wars prop, and it's a reverb. And I saw the other day somebody posting on Instagram that this is, this one used to belong to the Bee Gees, and back in the 80s, this reverb cost $80,000 or something.
Wow.
In 80s money. Yeah, I can't imagine spending that much on a reverb now. Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, that's another, the connection with the tanks there is they make a lot of their own instruments, or they did, out of found stuff like tank tops, those compressed air tanks or gas tanks. There's little tank tops that you can get off of those, and they're cast metal, so they can be played like bells and that sort of thing, and deli trays and saw blades. That the band used all kinds of things like that on top of other instruments that they made. And when I saw them in San Diego, I thought maybe they might be interested in some of these tanks, so I ended up getting them to come to my pool store, where I gave them a couple of filter tanks that they took. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of that story. They never had, I think one of the times that I saw Dan, the bass player for Sleepy Time and Free Salamander exhibit, he's apologized to me for not having them on some sort of recording or in the stage performance, and it's it's very, very thoughtful of him, but of course he doesn't owe me an apology for anything.
I really I remember right around when the How to Sell album came out, 2005. To make this about me again.
Yes, we should.
I think that was when their percussionist had left, and I don't remember who the percussionist was at the time. Maybe you know. Was that Michael Melander or something?
No. He's with them. Oh, damn it.
Not the drummer, but the
I
percussionist.
know. Yeah, and I got to
so
see
they
him.
had a.
I got to see him with that percussionist, Mo Staiano.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember who it was, but
that's
anyway,
who it is.
the
It was
percussionist
either-
was leaving.
Yeah.
And I made a serious effort, like pushing Trey, like, because I was telling him, I need to be their new percussionist. Like, I really tried, because I thought, this is
man.
perfect. I'm putting out this Sir Millard Mulch CD on Mimicry. Who do I need to get a hold of to be their percussionist? Because I loved that band at the time. And I bugged them about, because the timing was right. I think when their album came out right around the same time mine did on Mimicry.
Yeah.
And I thought, wouldn't that be great if I could tour with them, or opening for them or something?
Yeah.
And I had a short exchange with Dan Rathbun that didn't lead to anything.
Yeah. I think, that if you could have gotten your foot in the door, that I bet that would have happened, because they have done other. And I've seen them a few times where either they had like Fawn Fables open, or the last time I saw them, it was Carla and Matthias playing as a duo called Now You. And they would do that frequently. They would have little offshoots or other side projects as the opener for their shows. Let's get. Would you like to get back into the animation, because we haven't even talked about like Oracle of Outer Space or.
Sure thing.
Man, there's actually. I mean, Carl covers a lot of ground artistically, so it's there's a lot of very interesting stuff to choose from here. What got you started back, and what was the catalyst in really driving you back into working on animation again and trying to make a show happen?
Well, the wife and I went on a road trip out to Las Vegas, and we drove around, and I thought, I want to go see where Art Bell lives. So we drove out to Pahrump, because I've always been a huge Art Bell fan.
Yeah.
Still am.
Me too.
And we drove out to Art Bell's house and found it, and drove by and pointed, like, there it is. And then we went to out near Area 51, and I just got we stopped at this interesting place called the Little Alien, which is an inn.
Of course.
Where there were like old Polaroids on the wall of a bunch of conspiracy theorists and stuff that I was into at the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, wouldn't it be great to make an animated show about this stuff? So I came back home, started messing with it, decided I wanted to make the Oracle of Outer Space. And the name, the Oracle of Outer Space, came from this creepy little at the Little Alien, they had these little yellow zines that someone had made, like a zine, homemade zine, and it was called Desert Oracle. And I thought, oh wow, this is so weird, this local creepy zine of this person who lives in the desert. And then that name just stuck with me, like Desert Oracle. And I was like thinking about that, and so I came up with Oracle of Outer Space. And I had no idea that the Desert Oracle person actually had a podcast that was very Art Bell-like.
Oh, interesting.
And it's really good. It's really well done. It's all scripted, and it's very creepy and poetic. I definitely recommend checking that out. So that was maybe, what was that? What year was that? I don't even know. 2015 to 2015 or so that we did that trip. And then I put it on hold because I thought, okay, I'm going to make an album. And I just went to work, I'm going to get back into music and make an album right now. So I went for it, and I went all in on Grand Architects of the Universe, which you were on.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other people were on. Thomas Lang, Dweezil Zappa, Virgil Donati, blah, blah, blah. I was making my comeback. Here I am. As Chris Higgins once said, I'm back. I'm making a record. I'm back. I'm making a record. That was his quote.
Nice.
So I made that, and then I started getting in, because of that, I started getting into film scoring, orchestration type stuff. And I took a class at Berkeley because I wanted to do some of that orchestral stuff for Grand Architects.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I'm kind of grasping this. I can kind of do this. I kind of get it. It makes sense. Didn't think I could, but I'm getting it. I'm getting there. And so then I was over at Brendan Small's place, the creator of Metalocalypse. I was over there.
Movies also, yeah.
And Home Movies.
Yeah.
And I was over there interviewing him, I think, for a podcast episode for on the Carl King podcast or something. And on the way out, I asked him, I was packing up, and I said, by the way, do you have any ideas and advice or ideas for me to getting into film scoring? Because I think I can really do this. I think I have something here. And he said, yeah, you can do what I did. Make your own cartoon and hire yourself to score it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's actually a good idea because I'm not getting any gigs and I think I'm really good at it, but it's really hard to get a job doing it. And it's hard to build a portfolio, especially to like prove you can do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, how do you ever tell someone, yeah, I score documentaries and cartoons or whatever? Okay, well, what have you scored?
Yeah.
Well, I've never actually done it. So
yeah.
So how do you demonstrate that you can do it? You have to. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go make an animated show and I'm gonna score it. So that's why I did Oracle of Outer Space in 2019. It came out, I think, after Grand Architects.
That's right.
Okay, bye.
Hold on. Hold up. Just trying to get this out. I don't know why this is all of a sudden misbehaving like this, but yeah, it does.
Stew Spoon 1. Stew Spoon 1 says, I would love to get into film, game orchestration, music writing. Well, it's some really cool stuff.
I think a lot of
Are we watching a trailer now?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to full screen. It's being a bitch again.
That was Travis Orban screaming right there.
Oh, is it? Wait a second. Were you able to hear that?
I'm hearing all of that, yeah.
Oh, damn it. I have it muted here and it's still not. Hey, man. All right, so it's...
I hear Morgan Ogren now.
Yes. I run a very smooth show.
Anyway, for this animated show I made, this pilot, it was starring Dweezil Zappa, Mike Keneally.
Oh, God.
It had a guest spot with Travis Orban. Who else did it have?
Get it there.
Did it have some other people? It says on there.
Yes.
Dweezil Zappa,
Previously.
John Schnepp.
There we go.
Friend John Schnepp, who passed away. He was a director on Metalocalypse. And he also made the documentary The Death of Superman Lives What Happened.
Oh, that's right.
Leanna Vamp, Joni Brosis, Clark Wolf, Ebony Amber, etc.
All right, sorry about Muscat
Okay.
Grape. I got it fixed. I had to refresh it.
Previously on the Oracle of Outer Space.
This space scorpion's all over me! Do something! Hey, I'm Gary, and this is my radio station, the Oracle of Outer Space. We're proud to be the last remaining AM radio station in the solar system. From out here in orbit, we're blasting out the most creative and obscure programming we can, with zero budget. To get here, I've sacrificed everything. I even broke up with my sweet girlfriend, Mary Elizabeth. Will anyone hear us? I don't know, goddammit. But for those who need us, we're here. Extraordinary music, quality talk shows, experimental radio dramas, we've got it all. So tune in, and if you're lucky, you'll find us in the static. We bravely broadcast what has never been broadcasted before, ever.
Well, you know, many boobs is how you find success. That's what they say. Who are they? I don't know.
Well, that show cost a lot of money, and we raised a lot of it through Kickstarter and got it made. Lance Myers animated it. And upon screening it for an audience, I felt that it really flopped and it wasn't communicating. And I felt the whole time when I was doing rough edits of the thing, I felt like something is really not working here. Something about it is not right. And so I ended up splitting with my writers, splitting off from them, and I went to work at taking writing classes and reading lots of screenwriting books again and all of those types of things, and came up, and John Schnepp died right around then, and it was just a big bummer of a time. And I went about making That Monster Show, which is the next thing after that I started on right away. And I think that was a dramatic improvement on making that stuff.
That Monster Show seems like much more of a structure for like an ensemble kind of thing, that could be made into a lot more directions. I think maybe with the Oracle, it was hard. Like I think all of the characters had very, very separate kind of trajectories, maybe. Whereas there's much more of a unifying factor, I think, in That Monster Show, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't make any sense to anybody who has not seen it.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
So right now, That Monster Show, maybe a month ago or so, I signed a deal with a producer who is going to take it around and try to sell it to streaming and production streaming and networks. He's working with some sort of ex-Netflix animation person, and he's got some kind of an animation agent. I don't know. So he's going around trying to sell it.
A cartoon
so we will see
agent.
what happens. An animated agent.
He's not. Well, I'm imagining something along the lines of Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Where you just have.
So we'll see what
agent
happens with that.
Walks in.
And in the meantime, I am working on a new one. But did you want to play the other trailer for That Monster Show?
If you would like.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Everybody would be interested to see it. Let's see. I think. Where'd it go? There it is.
Good
Can
evening.
we get this one to go full screen? No, we can't. I don't know why it does this. All right, so if I mute it over here, you can hear it, but the audience can't, apparently.
Oh.
So hold up. Let's see if we can get there. This damn thing. I have a very convoluted setup here. We've covered it extensively, how convoluted my setup is. Maybe I should do a walkthrough and explain to everybody how it's so convoluted. Or why. Maybe. Come on now. Wow.
Stu Spoon says, not that I have any experience in writing shows, but me and 4 friends in school used to write cartoon scripts, and we all had very different humor. If we are not all laughing together, then we always thought, why would it work in a public sense? You never know. The thing is, oh, whoops.
Okay, no, it's all right.
There's a loud track playing.
It's all right.
The thing is, so much stuff gets made, and you never know why. I still don't understand at all why some things are made and some things are not. Even great hit shows are just canceled for seemingly no reason. Yeah. I don't know. So my idea is don't be too hard on yourself and try not to understand it too much of what you think people will like and what they won't. When you're saying this thing about if we're not all laughing together, then we always thought, why would it work in a public sense? I don't know. I mean, there's stuff you could watch. If you have 4 people all watch Big Bang Theory, will they all laugh? I don't know. I don't know if anybody will laugh, but that's still a gigantic hit show. And I don't understand why anybody likes it, as far as it's just my tastes.
Yeah.
So you can't predict. And as far as I could tell, like the pilot of that show, I don't know why they ever continued making it, because it was so bad. But
they had cute girls. That's
I don't know.
I think that's kind of how.
I think they made the pilot like 3 times.
For Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like they just kept starting over. And I'm like, there's nothing here to even start over. Why are you even making this the first time?
I think corporate America, just as much as your average artist at home, is just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
They were just
it's weird
looking
because
for
there are a lot of these networks and production companies have, they have people on staff who are just churning out shows constantly, show ideas, like making, doing what I'm doing, making a poster and writing a script, or just like concept art.
What do they call that? I
don't know, development.
Yeah. Well,
so what I was trying to say is that they make these things all day long and have people they sign people and they're on staff just making these things. And I've seen a bunch of examples of it. And I won't say how I get a hold of these, but I get a hold of some of them and I see them and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this big company is making this thing that seems to have nothing. Like, it's so far below the level of what the great Carl King has done. No, but when you see it, you're like, this they're seriously trying to make this. This is their idea. Yeah. And it's shocking sometimes to see, there are almost there's no standard for what gets funded and what doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
and so I figure I'm going to keep trying to make my stuff and make it the best I can, because why not? I'd say it has as much shot as any of that stuff.
This made me think of the concept of tickling. You can't tickle yourself because it's, where it's coming from. You can't get away with legitimately tickling yourself. It takes the surprise of it coming from somewhere else for it to actually tickle. I think the same thing works, or the same concept happens with artistic concepts. If you're like in reference to Stu, if you got a bunch of people in a room writing stuff and you've all got in your mind, what you want this thing to be, that maybe changes your whole perception, and it's you're now no longer capable of being affected by it in the way that you want it to be affecting your audience. So does that make sense? Like, it's like you can't intellectually tickle yourself.
Yeah, I find that other having another person involved creatively and having them add their ideas, there's something to where it always feels, I think in a lot of cases my ideas might be as good as my friend's idea, but
sure,
I like my friend's idea so much more because it's alien to me. It came from a place that I can't understand how they ever came up with it.
Exactly. Alien 3 with David Fincher is a prime example. Yeah, that one just totally fell flat, it seemed to me. The third Alien installment.
I think that was like his first big movie. And I think he didn't, I believe I watched an interview where he said he didn't know what the hell he was doing at all, and he was fighting a lot to try to get it made.
It was a very strange movie.
It was a big struggle.
A lot of it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah. There are YouTube interviews out there with him talking about that movie.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, let's show. I have it queued up in full screen.
Okay, go for it.
Wow, look at that. It might actually work now. Is it?
And dare I say,
cut it
monsters?
Off. Of course.
Would you like to see an animated TV show just for you? Yes, I'm talking about a cartoon with all the best spooky ingredients. Vampires, werewolves, ghosts, mad scientists, mutants, and even haunted houses. Then watch that monster show before it's too late.
That monster show.
Well, that was very nice. I like the characters are just are very, very personable, it seems to me.
That was Dan Foster. That was his narration.
Yeah, like there's Matilda, yeah.
And even haunted houses.
No, go back.
Then watch that monster scientists, mutants, and even haunted houses. Then watch
that character. The voiceover work that Joni did for that, all the little little noises. That's pretty cute stuff.
Yeah, she did a lot more, and she also did another major character that doesn't show up until episode 2. And unfortunately, we don't have episode 2 yet.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see it get made.
That's interesting, Stu Spoon. Yeah, that's good stuff. I love watching David Fincher's movies and TV shows. I love that show called Mindhunter, especially season 1. That was very creepy.
I don't know it. What else has he done again?
Well, Stu is posting here. Fight Club 7.
Oh.
I think he did. I think he directed the Facebook movie.
I only just saw. I didn't even get to see the whole thing, but I only just got to see a fair portion of Fight Club just a few weeks ago. That does look very good. I've seen 7. 7's really good. It's hard for me to keep track of all the different directors.
Oh, there's also The Game, Zodiac, Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Mank, which was a recent one. Gone Girl. He has a definite style that is like a slow-moving, creepy feeling. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Nice.
So what are we doing now?
I don't know. What are we doing now? How long have we been up? An hour 34 we've been going so far. I want to get into some of the orchestrations that you've done of some other known stuff. He's done some.
Well, go ahead.
Let's dive into the Mr. Bungle for orchestra, because that's very interesting, and it's quite a different take on that general sound. Hold on one second. This is, of course, a medley of some of my all-time favorite stuff.
So I made a Mr. Bungle orchestral medley. Oh, there it is.
There it goes. Yeah, how about that? I like it a lot.
You couldn't hear all the. That was when I was doing orchestration, sort of in my very early years. So I wasn't using great libraries and sounds and articulations. So you can. Luckily, I couldn't hear many of the flaws because I think the bit rate was kind of crushed that it was playing. But yeah,
well, it probably is. Yeah,
but it's still pretty cool.
I certainly didn't hear anything. I mean, it's much clearer over here. It might not be as clear going through Zoom. Maybe that.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Yeah, we'll find out later. As I say all the time. Yeah, I have not seen Jodorowsky's Dune, but I think I ended up getting that soundtrack because you had recommended it. It's very much the kind of stuff that I like to listen to.
The documentary is really good.
I bet it is. What's this? He lived on a couch being fed hot dogs for 3 months while he wrote Alien. Who was? Dan O'B? What? Dan O'B?
Dan O'Bannon? Dan what?
I'm not sure.
Alien,
Dan O'Bannon.
Dan
yes,
O'Bannon.
There we go.
Dan O'Bannon, what a name. There he is.
Uh-oh, here comes some jokes. This is our friend Pep just
Dan
showed
O'Bannon.
up.
Oh yeah, horror writer.
Yeah. So tell us about, I mean, what, oh, man, that's all virtual instruments, correct?
That's right. It's all fake.
Man, is that just like a million clicks to go into putting that together, or?
Yep. One note at a time. Click, click, click. Nothing was played. It was all mouse.
Well, it doesn't, to someone such as myself, that didn't sound like it was all on a computer.
Yeah. Trying to remember. Oh yeah, I had to like take the original album and, record the audio of it and then slow it down to 50% speed so that I could pick out some of these weird dissonant notes. That was a very confusing album to try to transcribe.
I'm sure.
The notes are just so weird and don't belong where they are, but they sound so good the way that he did them. It's really like 20th century horror music.
Yeah.
Played by a metal band, like a funk metal band. It's such a weird combination.
That is.
And just compositionally, it's so interesting. The note choices. And I think that's something that gets completely lost and overlooked when, it's these idiots jumping around on stage with masks and doing this kooky stuff and singing songs about porn and all of this stuff when it's like this other level of the notes are just so strange that they selected. And not only that, the notes that Mike Patton sings are notes that are not in the existing chord. So he's creating these tension notes that he's singing, very specific melodies that they don't fit like mathematically at all. They don't belong there.
But it still works.
And it was amazing to figure that out.
Man.
Like, especially as a singer, you hear a chord and you sing a note, it's going to be one of the notes of that chord.
Yeah.
But Mike Patton doesn't do that somehow. He hears notes that aren't there.
Yeah.
That aren't existing. Very weird.
He's an outstanding vocalist, and just, I do view him as, I mean, he's obviously a singer, but there's always been this kind of a perceptive difference for me between a vocalist and somebody who just sings. Not like that's something to look down on. Oh, she only sings or whatever. But the creativity with all the textures and different voices and not being afraid to take chances and make noise. That is, that's a lot more vocalization and variety than just staying within the rules.
But it was also interesting that, you know, Mike Patton and those Mr. Bungle and Faith No More guys come from a San Francisco type of scene where same thing with Sleepy Time. A lot of them are very anti-corporate and they very much stick to, you know, I'm going to make what I want to make and too bad if you don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that even in the midst of all that, Mike Patton becoming a rock god on the level of, you know, like #1 album of the year, you know, back in 89 or 90, he seems to have rejected that whole rock star thing while also having the job of singing that music.
Yeah.
And just seems to have, I mean, he obviously, there's a level in him that enjoys the attention for sure.
Yeah.
Because no one does that without loving all that attention on stage.
Yeah, you have to. I mean,
but there was still a level of him where he was like, if anybody, like the several times that I would run into him somewhere or be around while watching kids run up to him and interact with him.
Yeah.
And he just shut it down. He was like, he was not going to be, you know, Mr. Rockstar. He's just like, go away. Just don't talk. Like he just doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. How many people, if they were put in that position, would just soak that up and, you know, and how many would just react like they did? Like, you know, I don't know.
Well, it can
kind of hard to imagine. You know, those guys. I mean, those guys had their first album on Warner Brothers, went on tour, refused to play the songs people wanted to hear, trashed the stage.
Yeah,
and just it was like, what? Who would do that?
Yeah.
How many people would do that? Not very many people would do that if they were given the opportunity to. You know.
Yeah, I saw. There's a show from, I want to say the Warfield in San Francisco or something, where they did a version of Billy Squires' The Stroke. It's like completely
really
unrecognizable until the very end. The very end is when you realize what freaking song that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I've what else? I've seen him do the theme song to Welcome Back, Kotter, or they did Alan Parsons Project Time, but just the same line over and over again, like never letting it progress, and they just kept playing it like it was like a 10-minute of just playing the same thing and never letting it go to the next part until they got somebody to stage dive, and then they
he said we're going to be playing the song until someone stage dives, and then somebody just goes running and dives right there. Just like make it stop. I remember seeing them live on the Disco Volante tour, and Mike Patton was just, you know, putting the microphone right in front of the monitor and just scream for like the longest time. And like they were just kind of all standing around for like half an hour, and everybody was screaming at them to play something. And Mike Patton was like, buy a shirt. And he was like, buy a shirt. I don't need it. These guys need it. Buy a shirt.
Oh my God.
Anyway, they seem to be like, I would probably still be shitting my pants if Warner Brothers ever offered me a record deal.
Yeah.
And be like, what do I have to do, sir? Yes, I'll go. Okay, I'll go on. Like, this would be a major thing. But they seem to just be like, oh, this is funny that Warner Brothers gave us a record deal.
Yeah.
And they just went and did whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Very strange. Strange psychology.
It is. And that's, when that album first hit, that was back when I felt like there were a few bands that were like this. Tool was like this, and Mr. Bungle was like this. I just didn't know what they looked like, so I assumed everybody didn't know what they looked like, because the only exposure I had seen was like pictures of them wearing masks, and so I thought that was, they were just completely anonymous. Like nobody knew who they were, even though that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
I could be so naive at times in my life with stuff like that. It's pretty funny. Rainier, it looks like he's got He's got a question there. Let's see.
Rainier has a question?
Yeah. So let's see. All right. Okay. I have a serious question now. I have a lot of interests, but seem to get bored faster than the average Joe. Because of this, I tend to hop from one thing to the next, never really figuring out my bearings or finding my bearings. It's a blessing as well as a curse because it helps in building broad perspective and having new insights, but it hampers the presentation of those assets. For example, in job applications, an employer might see potential, but might as well see lack of satisfaction and high need for variety. In general, I'm often quite reluctant talking about my skill set at all for fear of being perceived as pompous or arrogant. In my experience, certain people very easily take it as some kind of race or a personal attack, and to me the only remarkable thing about it is that my boredom driving me to explore many different things, and that boredom would have a similar effect on others. I believe that in this respect, you and I are quite similar, so presuming you recognize a lot of this, how have you coped with this in your professional and in particular your social life?
Are you asking me that?
Yes, he's asking you that. I believe.
Oh, well, I have experienced a lot of that because I've worked in 4 or 5 different areas where I think I've developed a lot of skill, and maybe I haven't had the success that I have tried to reach in those 4 or 5 areas. And I, of course, hop from one to the other, as you were saying, but I'm hoping lately that I'm integrating all of those into an animated show where it's doing music, writing, visuals, combining all of my skills. But the other aspect, I think, is try not to overthink it and worry too much about what other people think, like job interviewers. I think you might be getting too much in your head, exactly like I do. I was actually I've been digging through a lot of old materials, and I found some of my old resumes, and the resumes were just all over the place. It was like I could never seem to explain what the hell I was actually trying to do. Or if you look at my resume, it was like I made an album, and then I made a video, and then I wrote a book, and then it's like, who the hell are you? What are you doing? So I would say don't get too much in your head and don't worry about that stuff too much, because I don't think someone hiring you is doing as much thinking as you are about it.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of perspective on that as an observer, because I don't feel like, I don't have that same exact experience. I'm not as I think my talents are not as varied as either you or Rainier. But what I see in Carl, watching Carl do the things that he's done over the last several years, and since I've gotten to know him, I've always felt like you do get hyper focused on something for a while and get really adept at it, and then maybe move on to something else. But I don't see that as just dropping that other thing entirely. I feel like all of those things are adding up into one big package that's going to be, just have you extremely capable. And I think, people who do bounce from idea to idea and can, really kind of excel and get very good at those different aspects are just ultimately building just a great total package, and that's just going to make you, eventually you're going to find something that clicks and puts the whole mecha ball together, and then you're going to be off to the races. That's my hope.
Another aspect of this is that, yeah, that's true. And the thing that I often think because I'm in a situation a lot of times where I'm hiring someone to do something, it helps me when people understand more departments than just their department.
Yeah.
Like you can have this specialist that only knows how to do this specific thing, but then they're limited because they don't understand how it fits into the big picture.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'm hiring people and I'm like, oh, you can do this and that and that. Okay. This is a person who understands how to solve problems, understands how everything fits together. And that's super valuable. That's like high level stuff. And those are people that end up, being really useful to have around.
Yes.
So don't underestimate the fact that, that's really valuable to be able to know how to do this and that and that and that.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
That's the kind of person you can hand something to and say, oh, I know they'll figure out how to do it because they are a person that can do these multiple disciplines.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I agree with that message.
That said, it can definitely be hard to find those types of situations, but don't overthink it.
And Rainier says, thanks, Carl. It seems my aim wasn't far off. Your old portfolios sound exactly like my current ones. That was a very useful, flattering, and thorough answer. Very nice. This is a nice little forum we have going on here. We were talking a little bit about Patton. I think that might be a good segue into the gentle art of making enemies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is all right. Let me get it queued up. It's probably going to come through your ears too. if it comes through your ears.
So this was a cover song that I put together because I wanted to create a portfolio of me playing instruments. So I thought I don't really have any good videos of me playing. So I wanted to. So I ended up wanting to do this cover. Well, this is one of the cover songs I wanted to do, and I hired Travis Orban to drum and Sean Coey to sing. And a lot of people, I've had to delete a lot of negative comments on the YouTube video because people who are, Mike Patton fans, they do not like this singing because it's a little bit Lindsay Lohan in some ways, but
it's a different take for sure. But I really like it.
And I wanted to do something different because I thought if you do a Faith No More cover, you can't have someone trying to sound like Mike Patton because it's only going to be a copy of Mike Patton. So I wanted to get a female vocalist, and Sean was singing with Dweezil at the time. So I got a hold of her and had her over to my place and recorded this and filmed it. And, it was really fun because I was able to do these other harmonic things and harmonies and layers with the vocals that didn't exist in the original. So there's some more overdubbing happening. And it's the kind of thing it was like, well, let me do with this what I would do with it and just see what happens. And this is what happened.
Yeah. All right.
The words are so familiar, all the same grace, the same mistakes. It doesn't have to be like this. If you don't make a friend now, one might make you. So learn the gentle art of making enemies. Don't you look so surprised? Happy birthday, fucker! You blow that candle out, we're gonna kick you, kick you. Don't say you're not because you are. Don't say you're not because you are. History tells us that you are. History tells us that you are. So all you need is just one excuse. You put up one hell of a fight. You put up one hell of a fight. Your day has finally come, so wear the hat and do the dance and let the suit keep wearing you. This year you'll sit and take it, and you will like it. It's the gentle art of making enemies. I deserve a reward, 'cause I'm the best puppet you ever had. And if I try to cut my
I should dig up the original files for that and export just the vocals, because there's some really interesting stuff happening there that you can't hear. And it was fun just producing all those vocal harmonies and telling her, all right, here's the next melody, here's the next layer. I'll now do that again, double that, and then just moving all these things around in stereo. It was a lot of fun.
There we go. I feel like if you're gonna do like a cover of something, it does have to be different in some way. Otherwise, it is just like you said. Then it's just a copy. But that was I loved the little keyboard lines in there that I don't remember from the original.
Yep.
And those added layers of vocals in there I really like, and the addition of the theremin in there. Yeah. That's it's a lot of just nice touches in a song that I already liked a lot.
Yeah, and it's not a faithful rendition, is it?
No, but it's I mean, that's again, that's kind of in the general it's kind of a jazz principle of not doing the same thing as the artist before you, and that's kind of a tribute in itself, because you're not just trying to be a carbon copy of it, you're taking it and growing even further from it. So
what's kind of funny is that the only person that did the exact carbon copy of it was my guitar and bass, were exact renditions of the original song, and then Travis did his own thing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of his own style in there.
Sean's vocals were all over the place. I added all of these keyboard layers and theremin and all of this weird counterpoint stuff, which I like doing. I love doing counterpoint.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I mean that's just a really honest way of doing that. Even if and there's so many avenues that you can take in doing an interpretation of something else. Like you said, with keeping the guitar and the bass the same, but changing all the things around it. That's amazing. God, what else? Where do we want to go?
I don't know. I think I sent you 10 links total, so I don't know if there's anything else that might.
We've got. We still haven't touched the Dr. Zoltan with Travis Orban.
Oh yeah.
Or Sir Millard Mulch, the Higher, Creed's Higher.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which let's see, let's go back in time a little bit and hit up Creed. Some Sir Millard Mulch Creed.
Dreaming, I'm guided to another world, time and time again. At sunrise, I
Don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. We lost audio for a second. Yeah, I screwed that whole thing up by hitting, just barely touching the wrong
Whoops.
spot on my trackpad. So we lost sound there for like a good portion of the damn song. My apologies, folks. So sound's back now. So we got to hear a lot of it, but not the whole thing. So that was an amateur move. You're welcome.
I think that song is probably sums up the album the best. I think is the most representative track of the entire thing.
Who else? You got some people on that album as well.
A lot.
Yeah.
Virgil Donati, Nils Frickel, Lael Larson. I don't know who else. I can't even remember. I mean, this was a long time ago.
Doesn't Devin Townsend do some voiceover on it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Let me
I'm
find
not
it.
on. I'm not on that one. Rainier.
Virgil Donati, Nils Frickel, Nick DiVirgilio of Spock's Beard, Tears for Fears, Mike Keeley Band, Dave Maros of Spock's Beard, Devin Townsend, Morgan Ogren did some stuff.
Yeah.
Larry Boothroyd of Victims Family, Mark Critchley of Itch, Robin Ekman, who was the drummer of Good Charlotte at that time, Paul Mazurkiewicz, who was the drummer of Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
Lele Larson. And that album got me reviewed in Decibel, Drum Magazine, Kerrang, Modern Drummer, lots of international press. It was very strange time.
That's very fun. It's a wild album.
And it was put out. It's kind of co-put out on Mimicry, Trey's label.
Yeah.
And there's a whole story to that. So.
A story you don't want to go into?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But I don't even know I wouldn't even know how to tell it other than, I mean, I can say that I was recording it for a few years or a couple of years, and I moved out to San Francisco and started hanging out with Trey. And we went out one night driving all around, and then he drove me home and he was dropping me off. And I said, "Hey, can I play you something real quick?" And he came in, and my girlfriend was in the other room sleeping. And I played him the Stratosphere Hardball cover.
Yeah.
And he just hit the floor laughing, rolling around, unable to breathe. He was laughing so hard at that. And he said, "Do you have a home for this album?" And I was like, no. And he said, "I think we can do something with this." So that was it. That was the story.
Artistic.
But it did well. It did well. The CD did well.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. It worked out well.
It's gotten you a bit of a following over the years.
Yeah.
I
think I ultimately never do very well in collaboration. I end up having to be the boss.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's a weird, uncomfortable feeling, but I feel like that's where I end up.
Well, there's just a lot of artists that are much more suited for being the main creative force, you know, and having a vision for something and being able to delegate the tasks required to get there, rather than just, you know, hoping things will work out. You've got a good picture or a good sound in your head, or you've got the whole thing, you know, in mind, and you know where you want it to go, and you've got a much better idea of how to get it there than a lot of artistic types might. So I think you're going to be the bus driver the rest of your life.
Well, that's a scary thing, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely, there's a lot of fear.
Well,
because ultimately I have to, you know, a lot of these projects don't make any money and I just lose money. So it's like, I am still driving a bus off a cliff somewhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll just keep making another better bus, I guess, next time.
Yeah.
But one of these days, hopefully one of them will succeed. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's
been a long time since I've had a hit.
Yeah, and Micah Ball says it's hard to be lead guy as a drummer. Yeah, and that is correct. It is hard to be the lead guy as a drummer. So, but I'm kind of exploring my way. I don't consider myself a lead guy, that's for sure.
Lead drummer.
Yeah, lead drummer. I've never been a lead drummer type. Let's see what else. We've been we're at 2 hours 23 minutes so far. This is a pretty good one. What was the last thing that we haven't? Oh, Dr. Zoltan with Travis Orban. Which one is that?
Micah says there's a picture of a bus driving off a cliff right behind you. That's a VW bus with rockets on it, actually flying through space.
Yeah.
That's actually the second version of the Oracle of Outer Space that I started making with some new characters, and they were going to be in a VW bus instead of in an old radio. They were going to travel through space broadcasting AM radio from a bus.
I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. I didn't recall the VW bus, and then there it is.
That was the sort of reboot that I did.
I see.
But thank you for noticing that, Micah.
He's very observant. Let's see. Let's do this track with Travis Orban, who's a monster player, by the way. That is wild. And Travis was reading that whole thing, correct?
Yeah, he transcribed the entire thing from the album.
Man,
that song originally appeared on the Dr. Zoltan record, Why I Am So Wise, Why I Am So Clever, and Why I Write Such Good Songs, which is another Nietzsche reference.
That is one of the best album
or Nietzsche
titles ever.
Yes, Micah, he did have a lot of buggadas.
Yeah. They were they're much more precise than my flibbertigibbets. And Rainier says, haha, yes, my best track swap collaborations are the ones where you give up your ideas as soon as you send your stems and neither party gives two shits about the end result. Yeah.
Is that a good thing or bad thing, Rainier?
I think that is a good thing.
Just saying it's a good thing?
It's a good thing unless it's not. Man. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we went through all of the links, but
any other final questions, people?
Yeah, anybody got some questions? We should perhaps, Carl, you could put your Bandcamp in the or I could put it in there if we find it real quick in the chat. Bandcamp.
I don't know my Bandcamp link.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll find it then. I'll get it. I'll buy that for $1.
I am just getting into, well, very soon I'm going to be getting into scoring this Tetris documentary, which is a mini series, like a 5-part documentary about, I think it's either, is it the 2014 World Championship Tetris? I'm messing up the dates. I'm also editing the entire thing. The rough edit is done, and I'm going to be moving into the scoring soon, and I'm going to be writing a lot of 8-bit and metal and orchestral stuff all blended together for this huge documentary project. So I'm going to be posting a lot of that stuff inside my Patreon. If you want to follow along, I'm hoping I'll be starting on it sometime this month on the music. There are some musical bits in there already, some demos and things, but this is going to be like this is like a album project, basically. It's got a lot of music. I think I'm writing like 3 or 4 hours of music. So that'll be interesting. Let's see what happens with that. Yeah. But yeah, sign up for my Patreon if you want to hear and follow along with that. You'll get access to a lot of rough mixes.
Figure out why this damn thing.
What else am I working on? Working on this thing called the Dragon Tooth Inn, which is my new animated pilot that I am working on. You can see a little bit about that on my website, carlkingdom.com, and you can also read the scripts. The finished scripts are inside my Patreon account, patreon.com/carlking. So, bunch of music, bunch of animation, bunch of writing. As I said, this month, that 50-plus page deep liner notes for my first Sir Millard Mulch CD is coming out for patrons only. It's going to be a Patreon-only release. So if you want to get access to that, sign up for patreon.com/carlking. What else? What else is going on? What am I working on?
I don't know, man. You work on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What are, just, I guess, some incidental stuff. What are some of your, favorite experiences as far as either witnessing music or art in any capacity?
I think my favorite concert that I ever went to, was Chick Corea Electric Band with Victor Wooten on bass.
Oh, wow.
At Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood. It was unbelievable seeing Dave Weckl. When I watch Dave Weckl, I'm like this.
He's so
I'm just like, I'm if you want to see me smile sometime, take me to a Dave Weckl show, and I'm just on the edge of my seat, like the whole time. Just, I love it. I love seeing Dave Weckl play.
He's such a fluid player. He's got true flow. That's for sure.
Yeah. Those two guys, Dave Weckl and Victor Wooten, did trade-off solo, just thunderous craziness.
Wow.
At night. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And probably my second favorite musical experience might have been seeing Wicked, the what is it called? A musical?
Yeah,
Broadway.
You've been telling me about this, and I'm very much not a fan of the musical format, except in very specific instances.
Yeah, well, seeing Wicked perform while they're singing all these huge harmonies and flying through the air was like, with an orchestra and a band, it was like, what? This is unbelievable that this is happening. It sounded great, looked great. There's all these set changes, and it's just this gigantic show, all very well done and well orchestrated.
Yeah.
So that was great stuff.
I guess what would you think of, have you seen any of the Cirque du Soleil things?
I've never seen any of that, and I don't even have any interest.
We went to one once in Del Mar, and it was pretty amazing. I mean, it was the musicianship of the band was outstanding, and just all of the everything going on constantly, and the flow of the whole show was very entertaining and just and quite frankly amazing. But I guess I would consider that kind of a musical. But
well, the thing that excited me about Wicked is that it's this story about a little girl that's green, and then it shows how society treats her.
Yeah.
And how she's rejected, and how that leads to her becoming the Wicked Witch. And then by the end of the thing, they're chasing her with torches and screaming, burn the witch and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just this tragedy. And it's such a dark story. Like, it's so dark and messed up but it seems like this lighthearted, happy thing, but it's psychologically so messed up. So I was just amazed that wow, I love the story. I love the music. It's written so well. It's performed so well. It's such an achievement. So I don't know that I don't really care about visuals and people spinning around and lights happening. But when it happens to an actual story that means something, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I remember there being some sort of a story worked into it, but it was maybe a post hoc writing. We have to write a story in which case this gentleman has to walk on this giant spinning thing, or would that be post hoc writing? It could be.
Well, we have this big set. I guess let's put Tom Cruise in it, and
we're gonna have to figure out some way to use all these
we
ball
use a
bearings.
747. Okay,
It's
I guess
all about the
strap
ball
Tom
bearings
Cruise
these
to the
days.
side of it. Yeah.
Everything.
Here's what we got to make the movie.
Yeah.
Put Tom Cruise in it somehow. That's actually what the director of the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies said.
Yeah.
Is that he goes out and he figures out all the sets and finds out all of the crazy ass things, and then he writes the movie around it.
Oh my God. I have not seen a single one of those yet either. How many are there now?
Mission
5?
Impossible 3 is very good.
Is it?
Check it out.
Yeah.
I love it.
I've been notoriously not a fan of Tom Cruise, except for in a few instances. Like I really enjoyed his part in Tropic Thunder. I don't know if you remember that, but
yeah.
Or
Philip Seymour Hoffman is the villain in Mission Impossible 3, by the way. Great villain.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, he was.
Okay.
Is he still with us, or did he?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. What was the other one? War of the Worlds. Even though I didn't think it wasn't the greatest version of that. I felt like it was. I liked Tom Cruise in it. He was much more low key and. I mean, I felt like he played the part well. Yeah. So I don't know. Anybody have any other questions?
I think we lost everyone anyway.
Yeah, we lost.
I don't think anybody's here.
Yeah, everybody's gone.
Are there no viewers? Are there like 0 viewers?
It says we got 14 right now. So
whoa,
that's kind of like my average, isn't it?
That's kind of impressive. That 14. It's too bad they can't request Leonard Skinner songs or whatever. What was it you were playing last night? Dire Straits.
Oh, that was the jammiest Dire Straits I've ever heard. That was like the funny part about that, it was the Sultans of Swing, and any time that you see like a band play that song, the drummer almost any time is just going ham with the ride cymbal part on there, but that ride cymbal part on the recording, it only happens in one spot. So it's like you have to keep that song's got to be so much more subdued and just keep the groove going, and you get that bell part in just the one section of the song. That's what makes it special. But when you see most like lower level players do that, they just want to play that part through the whole song because it's a really fun part. And you think, well, it's good and more is better, so I'll just do it more. And
right.
So I always really make it a point to not go full ham fist on that song, and then here comes this version in the requests, and the whole thing was just hamming it. Everybody in the band was just jamming every lick that they knew on that version. It was not quite ironic, But yeah, I found it funny. Either way. Let's see. Yeah, a spoken word version of Freebird. Micah Ball is asking for. We did. Carl requested some Jello Biafra spoken word, an anti-war diatribe on the stream one night. That was very fun. I have something about Jello Biafra here that I was going to add at some point. So this is a good segue. All right.
And I'm going to include this in my my upcoming book about the first Sir Millard Mulch CD.
Yeah.
I found this in my records at some point in 97 or early 98. Or no, it must have been in 97. I mailed out some cassette tapes of my cassette, 7 Pot Boiling Delusions. And I just found this the other day, but one of them I sent out was to Jello Biafra to see what would happen. Maybe Alternative Tentacles will sign me. And I got a letter from Alternative Tentacles back from Jello Biafra.
Wow.
And in it, he says, "Dear Sir Millard Mulch, thanks for sending your tape. We get so many now that I only reply to people whose tapes I like, and I like yours quite a bit. Unfortunately, we don't have room to add any more artists right now, but I hope you keep at it. If you haven't thought of this already, I'd highly recommend trying to save up some money and put out a 7-inch or CD yourself. That's how we started. If you do release anything on vinyl or CD, please send me a copy. I'd love to hear it. If you're ready for a distributor list at that point, just let us know. In the meantime, good luck with your work and don't give up. Jello Biafra."
That's awesome.
So here's the funny thing. So that is one of the reasons that I went ahead and made the CD version instead of a cassette, because at the same time, Steve Vai's manager was telling me I should make a CD instead of a cassette. And then this Jello Biafra letter. Who the hell gets encouragement from Jello Biafra and Steve Vai's manager at the same time? That's interesting.
Not a whole lot of people.
But here's the funny thing about this that we found out is that my band Tapato also received this exact letter in the mail from Jello Biafra. So it was a form letter that he would send to people that he liked or thought had some potential or something. So at the very least, I did receive a letter from Jello, even if it was a form letter.
At the very least, he was being a mensch.
I don't know what that means.
Just being a general good guy and trying to encourage other people to thrive, even if he didn't have the resources to help directly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait a second. Damn it.
Micah says, look at Jello's signature.
Micah had a question. His question was, how do you meet the famous people? Just cold calls? Maybe they only seem famous because I'm a music nerd.
I think that's a lot of people who seem to be rich and famous are not actually rich and famous in real life. And a lot of that is hype and it's a myth. So for the most part, you can pretty easily get a hold of people, I've found. Unless they're Trey, then you can't get a hold of them. But back in those days, I tried to get a hold of Virgil, I think, to play on my record, and I emailed him once and I didn't hear back. I emailed him again. Hey, I'm just checking in to see if you got, because I wanted him to play on the record. Hey, I'd like to hire you to play on my record. How much would you charge? And then the third time, hey, I'd like to hire you to play on my record. And I think I was emailing his webmaster at the time or whatever contact email was on there. And finally, one of them got forwarded to Virgil and my phone rang one day and I was at work and I ran outside and answered the phone and it was Virgil. And he was like, yes, sounds like what you're doing is quite interesting, and so he told me the price and he was actually coming down to Florida to do a clinic right around that time. So I drove up there with a bunch of my dorky friends and I handed him a check with a deposit and said, here's what I want you to do. And he said, all right. And it was just like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And so what you end up discovering, especially with musicians, is that most of them are struggling, even if they have big names. So as long as what you're doing is not completely embarrassing musically to them, they will probably play on it and work with you. Like a large percentage of them are just available to do work.
Yeah.
So don't ever think that someone is too rich and famous. I discovered that at some point, and I just started going crazy with, well, if I can get Virgil, I can get all these other people, and like keep getting people on the album. Like, why not? It's not that expensive. I mean, it was expensive at the time for me because I didn't have resources, but yeah, people are around and available for work if you have money to pay them.
That is a universal truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man.
And usually when I would work with these types of people, I would not micromanage them or give them, I would let them know, hey, here's what I was hoping for. Feel free to just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And so they would just send me the tracks and it would be done deal. Like I was always like, just be creative and go as far out as you want. Do anything you want. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
So it was like easy gig.
If you're going to go to the length of getting somebody because they have a sound, you're going to want them to do their sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the most part with Virgil, like whatever you have him do, 99% of it is going to be way better than anything you could have ever thought of.
Yeah.
So let that person do what they're good at.
He might be my favorite right now, I think.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay.
This has been very nice, I would say. In fact, I just did. I said this has been very nice.
Have we been streaming? Or was this just the...
No, I'm just recording this and this random chat coming in that I've photoshopped in because that's what actually
Okay.
this is all entirely MS Paint.
So are we about to go live yet? Or are we still
No,
go
this
for
was the
another hour,
warm-up.
like warming up?
Yeah.
So are we warmed up yet, do you think? Or do we need more?
Maybe, I don't know. Let me, maybe. I'm not quite there.
Okay. Cause I haven't done this kind of thing in a while and I just, I could use more warm up.
Yeah. Me too. I could use more pre-notes and actually setting up. I think next time I might try using the devices in a different configuration, and that might work.
You mean
a little bit better?
Playing along everything you say to me, you'll play drums as you talk?
Yeah, no, it'll be all glockenspiel that's missing the middle A.
Okay.
That's going to be the entire show. One mallet.
We could actually do that sometime. I can get a guitar, bass, and I'll play my parts as we talk, and then you play while you're talking.
We could. It might be very. I mean, you know how I have an issue with. I need to yell when I'm whapping the pads.
Have you ever had to do Thomas's exercise at the drum camps where he makes you play while you're talking or something?
Yeah. Trying to play through.
Play the rhythms
phrases
as you talk.
and yeah, that's a good exercise actually.
Yeah,
I think it kind of makes the connection between what you're hearing in your head and what you want your body's sound, the sounds your body needs to make.
Was it Dave Weckl who suggested, or was it? Oh no, I'm thinking of Dave Elitch has a different exercise, but I think Dave Weckl recommends like do a phrase with your mouth and then play the phrase and then do another one with your mouth, like trading off with yourself.
Yeah. There's that, and Dave DeCenso's, playing above the neck, or what does he call it? There's, I mean, a lot of his exercises come from, vocalizing while playing at the same time and keeping those,
Yeah. And then Dave Elitch has one where he says, you play a fill and then try to play it again exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird challenge. Like somehow it's actually really hard to do.
It is. It really is.
And
'cause you have-
then he would make people come up at his clinics. He would make them come up. Okay, sit behind the drums, and I want you to
Yeah.
play a straight 4/4 beat, and
Yep.
don't do any fills. Just straight beat. And see how long you can do it.
Yeah.
And like everybody will always go crash, and then like
Yeah. That's
kind of a funny thing.
Playing along with electronic music is often very good for that because it helps to kind of give you a crutch to play along with and keep it super simple and get into that zone where you're not concerned about spicing it up, where you learn to make the dish, have the dish be good without any garnish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Dr. Zoltan's song it was, but one of them, either on the CD or on the album or whatever, or it might have been the one that I just uploaded to Patreon. One of them, I just hit record on Cubase with a microphone, and I sat there and and then I went back and mapped out all of those rhythms and played them on the instruments. So that's another way to get really messed up stuff.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of really good ideas about how to create. That's one of the things that I'm kind of looking for in doing these kinds of interviews is just kind of bending people's ears that are in different disciplines and trying to find commonalities in artistic process and inspiration and workflow and just general ways of being of artistic types. It's there's much to learn from everyone. That's what I think. Yes. And Micah Ball says, by the way, I liked Carl's self-help book. Me too. Dividing your day, no shoes in the studio, yada. Yeah,
I wonder what the no shoes in the studio was about.
Well, I kind of have to, but I don't have to. I do like playing barefoot also, but I've gotten used to playing with shoes because of all the playing in bars and that sort of thing. I don't want to be playing barefoot in a bar. That doesn't work for me. So I've really focused on being better with shoes. But yeah, it's good just in general to have your creative space not being, having the creative space not being sullied by outside dirt.
It's too bad that I'm sure you wouldn't want this either, but it's too bad that a lot of people can't go to your creative space, that place you have set up right now.
Yeah.
And walk into that room and feel the vibe. It's something that I don't have, and it's when I walk in there, I'm like, wow, this feels really nice.
There's a lot of time goes into just trying to make it a nice place,
Yeah.
Just even the way I store things, I'm trying to store them in visually pleasing ways, and that's just so that I don't want to walk in here and have some clutter make me just not think. Or make me focus on that piece of clutter instead of just being able to let everything go and just be in a mood. So that's again that's something that I got encouragement from your book about. I ended up giving that book to a youngster that I thought could really benefit from it, and now I don't have the book, and they're hard to get now. Damn it! I'll find another one though. I'll find a used one out there and buy it off of eBay or whatever. But yeah,
Micah, I don't know about the no shoes in the studio thing. I know that I wasn't at that time. It was since way back, it's no shoes in the house pretty much, but I don't know about no shoes in the studio, specifically in the studio. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same principle. The house needs to be a comfortable and clean place. If you're dragging in all kinds of whatever from your shoes from the out of doors, that's just not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unless you're one of those people that thinks that we should all eat dirt to just
Geophagiopathy.
What is it?
Geophagiopathy. Eating dirt as therapy.
No, thank you.
There's a track about that on the How to Sell album.
Oh my God. That's a hard word to say. One more time, please.
Geophagiopathy.
Geophagiopathy. Wow.
Geophagy, like
Geophagy,
phagy,
yeah.
phagy, like coprophagy, like geophagy, eating dirt. Therapy. Pathy. Opathy.
All right, now I'm lost.
Geophagiopathy. Geophagiopathy.
All right, then. That's great. Man, language is a fascinating thing. Let's see. Iron deficiency will make you crave eating dirt. I think that's possible. I don't think.
Jun Suinachi.
Yeah, Jun Suinachi. Welcome. Zinc deficiency causes you to lose your sense of smell and taste. Interesting.
Is that specifically a Japanese name?
I'm not sure. Where are you, Jun Suinachi? You've been a frequent visitor to the stream, and we appreciate that very much. You'll find periodically I do these interview episodes, kind of like podcast style, because we do like to explore the life experiences of other artists and try and learn something and grow. And also, I want to try and help my friends who are artistic to reach more of an audience, and so we'll be saving this video on the YouTubes.
This is going to go on the YouTubes?
Yeah, this will go on the YouTube channel. Unless you watch it back and go, no, that was terrible. Please never show it again.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it went pretty well. But we still don't know where Jun Suinachi is.
Oh well.
I'm sure we'll figure it out at one point, or not. Anyway, I think I'm out of any more question steam here, unless
I don't think anyone has any questions. They're like, the only question is, when do we get our classic rock covers back?
Yeah. Well, maybe tomorrow. I may be on tomorrow night, but I might not. There's a possibility I'll be meeting with a potential student tomorrow. So,
also anyone who sees me writing nonsense in the Twitch stream, I'm mostly trying to make Mike Stone laugh.
Yeah.
So, don't mind me with my talk of Phil Anselmo.
Yeah. Well, that is funny stuff though. And Jun Suinachi is mostly Japanese and some Chinese as well. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Very good. Yeah, but I wouldn't even know how to... Yeah, that Chinese one is fucking annoying to search for because I can't type it with my Japanese keyboard. Interesting. I never even thought about that. There's got to be Japanese keyboard. That's how sheltered I am as an American. I just assumed there must be a Russian keyboard as well, correct?
Oh, there's all sorts of keyboards.
Yeah. Wow.
If you go into your Mac OS preferences, you can change. You can see all the various keyboard settings you can have.
Man, that's funny. How naive.
There's even a Spanish keyboard.
No, that's just a lie.
And there's a Trump. There's a Trump keyboard.
No.
It's orange, covered in Cheeto dust. It's very sticky and orange.
And it's got a lot of numbers.
I'm sorry about that laugh suddenly, but that was good. It's got a lot of numbers. Got so many numbers.
Numbers like nobody's ever seen.
Numbers like, yeah, that's good.
All right.
It's a huge keyboard. It's
yeah, the accordion business. What are you doing,
It's
man?
huge. It's the hugest keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, man. He's so awful.
It's funny.
All right. Yeah, you two guys are brothers, right? No, we are not. We just we just have a lot of the same clothes and try to look like each other. There are pictures of Carl where it looks like I've been trying to copy him or he's been trying to copy me. And like some of the video that we watched earlier, I have the same shirt, or the same Sleepytime Gorilla Museum shirt.
We've both worn the same shirt at the same time too, like two people in one shirt, where he goes in and sticks his head out. Yeah. No, he didn't.
It's like it's kind of like spooning, but worse. Yeah. All right.
That is worse.
It is worse.
I don't like that.
Unless you get a really big shirt.
I don't like that idea.
No. They call it shirt docking. Yeah.
Okay, well, have
All
a
right,
nice
fine.
night, everybody. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to ruin the stream.
All right. Yeah, this was terrible. I think I'm going to completely rethink how I've been doing things.
Yeah, you need to seriously... Wait, what is that?
Uh-oh.
Whoa. Circle versus Square says something.
Yes.
I love nerding out about the theory stuff, but I pretty much suck on all instruments. I get too frustrated with practicing to enjoy it. In the meantime, my ears and brain suck up all the theory like a sponge. I once imagined replacing all the synths in my music with actual playing, but I gave up on becoming a proficient player long ago. Historically, you needed a performer to hear music up until we invented recording, and a lot of people still have this view. What is your opinion on that?
That's a great question.
Who, me?
Yeah,
I don't know
definitely
if the
not
questions
me.
are for me.
Yeah, that's for you. The
I
show's
think
about
there's
you, sir.
There's benefits to both. And what I tried to do a lot on the How to Sell album was make it hard to tell whether I tried to make some of the real playing sound sequenced and some of the sequence playing sound real. And I did that by, bringing in actual drums one at a time. Like I didn't have any way of recording more than 2 channels at a time when I recorded that album, because I only used the little 1/8" jack on the back of the Mac to plug in everything. So I didn't have an interface or anything like that. And so I would have to bring in a snare drum and play the snare drum part of the song, and then play the kick drum part of the song and the hi-hat part of the song, and then edit them all together to try to make it sound like somebody was playing. And other times there were parts that were completely sequenced that I would mess up on purpose to try to make them sound more organic. So I don't whatever you want to do is fine. I think if you like the sound of it, then do it the way that you want to do it.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question adequately? I don't know. Don't don't overthink it and don't slow yourself down. Just do it.
Yeah. I think, I don't think there's anything wrong with writing with whatever tools you have, even if you can't play it on a physical instrument. If you can get the idea to realization, then mission accomplished.
Yeah, and if that's what you want to make and it sounds good to you, then you're done. You've done it.
There's no such thing as cheating in music. I get disgusted with people. This is especially prevalent in the drumming community, with people saying, "Oh, that's cheating." Well, you're using double strokes on your feet, or you're doing a gravity blast over here. Who cares? Who cares? Are you getting the sounds that you were looking for? If you got the sound that you were looking for, that's mission accomplished. It's not cheating. This isn't a race.
Yeah, and in general, it's about making the sounds you want to make. And it doesn't matter if you played the kick drum with 2 sticks or whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want. That is the cool thing about music, is that there really are no limits or rules of what you can do. There are a lot more rules in other areas of life and in the arts. But music, you can just make whatever crazy ass sound you want. So Rainier, is it Rainier?
Yes.
I sense that maybe is it?
Yeah, REINIER.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I sense that you have the same problem as me, in that you overthink everything and slow yourself down in doing so. So it's really good to think about that stuff and analyze, but don't get carried away, and just remember to just keep making stuff, and don't worry about it so much.
Yeah, and Rainier, don't listen to
and that's
people
me talking to me also.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that in in all creative aspects. I think we all suffer from imposter syndrome in one way or another. But don't listen to it from other people. If Rainier, if somebody else is saying that you're not doing the thing because you put it together on a computer instead of being able to whip it out on a bass or a keyboard or whatever, then they're just jealous. I think. Well, I can't assume what somebody else wants, but
I think half the shit on my How to Sell album, whenever there was a difficult lead part, I would slow it down 50% and play, because I just one measure at a time, because there's no way. It was like a waste of time. Like, why sit around and learn that whole thing on guitar when I can knock it out in an hour and have it perfect?
Yeah.
And does exactly what I need it to do within the context of the piece of art and recording, and it makes the sound I want. Why sit around and what is that going to accomplish to be able to say, hey, I played that 20 years later. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing with, I don't know. I lost my train of thought there, but do whatever gets the project done and gets it out the door.
Yeah. June Sunachi says overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind. Janard Maines Breenan. Lateralis.
I actually missed a lot of these messages.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot coming through, huh?
Oh, I see. You're saying that you get annoyed with people who care about that stuff and somehow invalidating you as a musician.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Oh, yeah. Well, I see a lot of that too, where people are like, I think there are a lot of weird limitations, especially with percussion and drums. Like, I always wondered, why are drummers struggling so much to play all this fast double bass stuff with these tiny speed motions when it's totally inefficient with your feet, because they're these giant limbs and giant muscles that are having to move like this.
Yeah.
So why not do double bass patterns with your hands and then do the simple part with your feet? Like, is my thought. Like, save yourself a lot of work, make the same sound. But to me, if it's the sound that matters, it doesn't matter how you go about making the sound. And it should open up more opportunities, because now you have so much more power and flexibility to make the sound any way you want. And that was always, I'll just finish up this last rant. That's why I made all that Atari sequencing stuff, play stuff that nobody could play. Because if I have a computer that can play anything, why would I make it play human within human limitations? So that was my thinking beyond it. So just do whatever you want.
That's kind of the Black MIDI kind of theory.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Where
you're talking about where the screen is black because there's so many notes.
Yeah, there's so many notes that it's just it's just full. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Usually those are the same people who can only play the pentatonic scales. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I don't know. This was, I felt like this was a good overall broadcast. I enjoyed it. I think we should do it again.
Somebody asked one time, I'll end after this. I'll stop talking, I promise.
Well, you don't have to.
Was it Dave Weckl? Somebody asked him, how do you rank drummers or something like that? And he said, people who rank drummers should spend that time practicing instead and doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have time for sitting around complaining about other drummers.
Yeah. That's part of the reason I stopped complaining about Lars Ulrich.
Yeah.
The other part was trying to play a couple of songs that I thought I would have in the bag and and got my ass beat on.
You got your ass beat by Lars Ulrich and by Anthony Kiedis?
Yeah. No, not so much Anthony. Well, I don't know. I haven't tried to rap as well as Anthony Kiedis.
Have you tried running around shirtless and running down the street in slow motion?
Not with my current belly shape. It would be a whole lot more flop than the video for Under the Bridge.
Okay, well that's enough of me.
All right. Wait a second. That is very true. I wrote down something similar once. All time spent proving yourself is not spent. Is time not spent improving yourself. That is.
There you go. That's
very,
a nice quote.
Very astute.
Proving, improving.
Yeah. Very astute. All
There's
right.
A little word game.
All right then. Well.
Okay.
I think
CarlKingdom.com,
yes.
Patreon.com/CarlKing.
There you go. And look him up on Bandcamp. There's several albums up there that you can check out. It's very, very great stuff. There's a lot to dive into there. So, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you everybody
for
hanging around and typing things. Thank you for Mike Stone. Thank you, Mike Stone. Praise Jesus. Thank you, God, for giving me Mike Stone. Thank you, God, for letting Mike Stone into my T-shirt at the same time that I was wearing my T-shirt.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing one right now. It's not fun. Yeah, no fun. All right. Well, everybody, we will see you again soon. And, yeah.
Remember to tip Mike Stone.
Yeah.
The
and
tip
your
button.
Bartender and waitresses also. Muscat Grape, thank you. Fishalicious, Circle versus Square, Micah Ball Music, Jun Sunachi. Who else? I think we saw quite a few good friends in here.
Remember, there's only one true path to wealth, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace. No, wait, how does that go? Remember, there's only one path to true peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace. There's only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
Yes. And
there it is. There it is.
All right.
This is a Ramsey show.
Ramsey. All right. GH316 in here right at the very end, just in time to say praise Jesus and hello, Mike and Carl. Good interview. Very good. Well, this was fun.
All right, everybody.
Time to get some dinner, folks. Tina, come get some
bye.
food. All right. Bye.
Bye.